Let your body take control. You're on my mind, baby. Just move a little closer. And I say, oh, it's a night we'll both remember. Oh, sweet surrender. Oh, we're moving close together. Wanna make your body mine through the night. Hot and sweet through the night. Let's get out fast and slow. I wanna get to know you. I know a place where we can go. It's just around the corner. And I say, oh, it's a night we'll both remember. Oh, sweet surrender. Oh, we're moving close together. Wanna make your body
Good morning from the studio. So, I'm supposed to be driving right now. I'm supposed to be on I-35 heading south to the lovely and talented city of Des Moines, Iowa. And I'm not doing that because, well, shit got postponed. But that's okay. I'm so happy to be with you here anyway because I would have been on your screen just in a different capacity. So, we'll just do how it does. But anyway, we're going to, I'm going to do this show and then I'm going to pack up and head out. So tomorrow's show will absolutely be live from Des Moines. We're going to be chatting with drunk college students, asking them questions about the world today. And if you want to submit some questions, you can certainly do that either during the show tomorrow or you can, actually, it would be better if you have some questions you'd like me to ask college students, likely drunk college students, because again, this is going to be during the West End breakfast in Des Moines, Iowa, which is free beer from 8 to 10, and I'm not even starting until 9. So a lot of them may already have a little bit in them because it's a Drake Relays, and Drake Relays is like homecoming at any other school, and it's a big party for the students, even though there's actually an actual track meet there. A lot of students don't figure out there's a track meet at the university. In fact, it took me a couple years to figure out that there was a track meet. Well, no, I knew there was a track meet. But anyway, for Drake students, it's like homecoming. So, and there's lots of festivities and all kinds of things related around this. For whatever reason, why it relates around a track meet, I don't know. But like I said, you can ask questions and you can submit questions if you want to put them in the chat today or in the description, or excuse me, the comment section of this video when it turns into a video today. I'd be happy to include them in our show tomorrow. There, that's that. Today, though, we're going to talk about misinformation. Because there's a new division of the Department of Homeland Security that we learned about yesterday. And it's fascinating. I forgot I needed to add my X-Files and or Twilight Zone music to my soundboard. Ooh, do I need it today? Because the Department of Homeland Security, again, is creating a new department. Wait until you hear this nonsense. Johnny, do your thing. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog Studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, P. Dog Night. All right, stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P. Dog Night on the internet. And welcome to the P. Dog Night channel on this lovely 28th of April, 2022, where the weather outside is not frightful, but it's not what I was hoping it would be. I'm just saying, it's supposed to be getting warmer and warmer. And my trip this weekend for a great track meet in Des Moines, Iowa, the forecast. Now look, 60 is not bad for this time of year, I guess. I mean, because if you live in a place where it's often, in the wintertime, sometimes get the below zero marks, often actually. 60 feels like a balmy day in paradise, but unfortunately, for whatever reason, for the last 6, 7, 8 years that me and my friends have all gone back every year to visit my college friends because we said, let's make this an annual thing where we come and see each other and drink some beer and do some fun stuff. For whatever reason, this weekend has been cold and miserable every year. The last 6, 7 years we've been doing this, and it's annoying as hell because when we were in college, for whatever reason, the weekend of Drake Relays, which is always the last weekend in April, has been beautiful sunshine, 70, 75 degrees, light breeze, sitting under a tent, drinking beer at Peggy's bar, and then going down to the West End Lounge and hanging out in the patio. And, you can just stand outside in a t-shirt and shorts and you'd feel great. And every damn year for the last 6 years, it's been miserable. Cold, chilly, rainy. And I don't, when I say cold, 60 is not necessarily cold, but it's cold and it's raining. But it's like, it'd be like you go to West End breakfast Friday morning, it's 40 freaking degrees out. You're like out there and you have to wear sweatshirts and long pants and shit. I just don't get it. It is, look, more proof of global warming. I'm just telling you. This Prince's damn song, Sometimes It Snows in April, well, it seems to be more common than whatever. But anyway, I'm going to quit bitching about the weather because I sound like an old man bitching about the weather. Shut up, Tyre. I know what you're thinking, Tyre. That 100 bullshit you come up with all the time. Anyway, I have to, let me put this out on the other social media places here while I'm talking to you. Let me just do this. As I always do, I like to say good morning to everybody, but let me just click these buttons here so that I make sure this goes. I don't even know if it makes sense for me to send these out on other social media, but I do, just because there's got to be a couple people who follow me on those places. Well, there are. I mean, but nothing like on the wonderful platform that is Twitter. And actually I have more followers on YouTube than I do on Twitter, which is kind of wild. But anyway, I'll talk about the issue a bit. Let me say hi to everybody first, because that's what I do. First in chat today is our friend Tyler. Speaking of Tyler Alexander, it's Tyler Alexander. So you hit the bell for being first. Congratulations. Also, good morning to Maddie's in the hit that button a little early. Maddie's in the house. Also, Black Keeper Israelite. That's right. Good morning, Aaron Meredith, Rotten Corpse, Jeffrey Russell Jr., Hate Camel, who brought one of my stories for today. If you haven't heard why one of my nicknames is Lawyer Dog, well, we're going to talk about that story today. Thanks, Hate Camel, for dropping that in my lap. I'm shaking my head. Also, good morning to CNN Sucks, the most redundant name on the internet. Mike Savage, Blarg. Good morning, Neon Leon. I said Jeffrey Russell Jr. Who am I missing here? I could have sworn. There's Somnambule Nation. Hope your phone battery lasts for this show. Good morning, Septus Wolf. Chicago Mike. Teresa the Kid, what's up? K Show. Why are you so angry? No, I'm not asking K Show, why are you so angry? Why are you so angry is a person in the chat. Also, good morning, Zombie Teddy. Dog, sounds like you're more into wine than beer. Well, truth hurts, doesn't it? Yeah, that's very creative. Thank you. And Ginger Powers in the house. What's happening? Nice to see you. Nice crowd so far. 21 here, but we can always use more. Please share the stream while you're watching. Hit the like button at some point. You can sponsor the show either through YouTube Super Chat if you don't mind giving Susan 30%, or at pdognight.live, where you can watch the show, you can chat, you can donate somewhere up there. It'll be up there, somewhere over there. And also follow me on social media at pdognight. Jim Beam, I see you, brother. I see the hey. Did I miss you up somewhere up here? Maybe I did. Possible. It's certainly possible. Oh no, you were lurking, and now you're in the room. Welcome. And also good morning to my favorite Canadian, Jaeger Pony. And I'm sure Avocados Diablo was here somewhere. I thought I saw him earlier. Maybe I didn't. Anyway, well, when he gets here, someone let me know when Avocados Diablo gets here, because he's pretty reliably here. So anyway, so when I'm doing my Twitter thing that I do before every show to find news, one thing stuck out, like amazingly stuck out. Okay. And that would be the title of the show today, because I called the title of the show the Ministry of Truth, because apparently we're developing one in the Department of Homeland Security. Now, they don't call it the Ministry of Truth, and they say it's for some very specific stuff, but remember the Department of Homeland Security covers a lot of ground, both foreign and domestic, right? So I wanted to describe to you how they present this. This is fascinating. And then we're going to go into how how we could probably look at it a different way. And it's the different way that we might look at this is what concerns me most. Oh, you know what I thought of? I'm going to try something real quick. Where's this little chat thing? No, that's not what I wanted to do. Ooh. Okay, that's what I wanted. Where's my little chat function? It used to be right there. I used to be able to put the chat right there, and then I could highlight people's chats too. All right, we're gonna have to figure that out another day. Wait, when here? It's this. No, that's a event filters. This is that. Sub gifts. Where is my chat function? All right, well, I'm gonna have to figure that out next time. Good morning, Woodcutter, by the way. All right, so here's what we got, guys. Here's what we got. This is well, it sounds very Orwellian, but let's just give it a chance. We're gonna read this. Here's from something called Homeland Security Today.us. I don't know if this is an official. Let's see. Let's Homeland Security Today. What is this? I don't know. It has to have something to do with Homeland Security. Here's how their information comes out. DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, is standing up. I don't know why they say standing up. Why they came up this way. It's a new board called the Disinformation Governance Board, and it's being led by a information warfare expert. An information warfare expert. Now, just that particular description of somebody is troublesome to me, because someone who's an information warfare expert sounds like someone who's an expert on propaganda. That's how I read it. Is that how you read it? I'm just curious. That's how I read it. Okay. The board intended. Now, of course, you know how they write these stories. I'm going to guess that somewhere in the first sentence of this article on Homeland Security Today, these words will be in the first paragraph also. But let's just read the little subtitle. Board intended to coordinate countering misinformation related to Homeland Security, focused specifically on irregular migration and Russia. Now, focused specifically on irregular migration. Now remember, is it Mayorkas? Irregular migration. I'm just curious. When they say the words, I hope we'll find this out as we read this article, the words irregular migration, are they talking about people who cross our border illegally? I'm not sure that that's what they're talking about, but maybe. But again, Disinformation Governance Board related to Homeland Security, focused specifically on irregular migration. I'm just taking that, I'm going to parse that sentence out. And then I'm going to say Disinformation Governance Board related to Homeland Security, focused specifically on Russia. When they say it's going to be focused on Russia, I'm going to segment this a little bit. Do they mean the misinformation that came out prior to the 2016 election about Russia? Because there was definitely misinformation. In fact, that somebody paid for that disinformation. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I don't want to get sad. I should probably not bring that up. Oh, but I don't think that's what they're talking about. I'm confident they're not. But anyway, let's read the article. I'm just curious. A new board at the Department of Homeland Security will focus on the countering misinformation and disinformation. Interesting distinction. Now, misinformation, I'm assuming they mean just, happenstance that the information is wrong, and disinformation is purposely there to disinform you or tell you lies, basically. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas told lawmakers today, with Wilson Center fellow Nina Jankowicz. We're going to learn a little bit about Nina Jankowicz today again, too. Separately confirming that she would be the executive director of the board. Well, fantastic. A Wilson Center fellow, that's got to be good, right? During a hearing before the House Appropriations Subcommittee on Homeland Security to discuss the president's fiscal year 2023 budget request, Representative Lauren Underwood, Democrat of Ohio, stated that disinformation is a huge threat to our homeland. Now, wait a minute. I'm surprised she didn't say a huge threat to our democracy, because when Democrats talk about this, they talk about the democracy, right? Which so it'd be a huge threat to what I'd say. What's the word you substitute? Democrats in power. So it's a huge threat to Democrats in power. But no, I can see why it can be a threat to the homeland, depending on the type of disinformation, right? But let me continue. And said Mayorkas has, quote, noted that it's a concern of yours at the border with human smuggling organizations peddling misinformation to exploit vulnerable migrants for profit. Now, that's good. I'm glad she's thinking about that, because that is important. Is she worried about people coming across the border illegally? Not so much, but the smugglers, hey, fine, human smuggling, that's very important too. That's very important. But peddling misinformation to exploit vulnerable migrants for profit. Now, I'm going to continue. Citing the Senate Intelligence Committee report on tactics used in the 2016 election. She added that foreign adversaries attempt to destabilize our elections by targeting people of color with disinformation campaigns. She's trying to help the black folk. Is that she's brought, oh my goodness. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we got our first sponsor of the day. And so let me find some appropriate sponsor music. I should have this ready more often, but this is my failure of not having the music ready. Let's go with, let's see. It's about Rachel Maddow. Well, let's go with acid jazz, because Rachel Maddow is like something you have to listen to while on acid. This episode of the P-Dog Night Show is brought to you by Rachel Maddow. Russia, Russia, Russia. Russia, Russia, Russia. And Russia. Thank you, Chicago Mike, for this great ad today. Yes, thank you for sponsoring the show. You are greatly appreciated. And you're a great American. Thank you for the big bullet in the tip jar. And also, Chicago Mike, you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Whoops. Yeah. Well done. All right. Let's continue in the article here. So, targeting foreign adversaries attempt to destabilize our elections by targeting people of color with disinformation campaigns. What the hell does that mean? Hi, Kiefer Dam. Welcome to the show, my dear. Rachel. Yes. Then she continues, quote, a newer trend that we saw in the 2020 election and already in the 2022 midterms, that disinformation is being heavily targeted at Spanish-speaking voters, sparking and fueling conspiracy theories. Underwood said to Mayorkas. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean? That she believes that disinformation is being heavily targeted at Spanish-speaking voters, sparking and fueling conspiracy theories. Who, perchance, is who's perpetrating this disinformation at Spanish-speaking? Oh, wait a minute! I know the answer. This is the answer. Well, she thinks it's Russia, but no. Here's the problem, and this is why she's so concerned about this. Because Democrats are losing Spanish-speaking voters. Their approval rating with the Spanish-speaking voters is getting worse, even though they're still a majority Spanish-speaking or Hispanic or whatever, Latino, not Latinx, because Latinx is not a fucking word, assholes who use the words Latinx, and Spanish-speaking people and Hispanic people hate that shit. Anyway, they're losing ground with Latino voters, so she's very concerned that it's because of disinformation. Let me continue. She says, DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, and its components, play a big role in addressing myths and disinformation in Spanish and other languages. Can you share what steps you've taken and what future plans you have to address Spanish language myths and disinformation through a department-wide approach? Okay. I need a little aside here. What exactly does this human being, because I don't want to call her a hoe, want the Department of Homeland Security to do about what Spanish-speaking and Hispanic and other language-speaking people hear? Yes, I do have my cup of reparations with me. She wants the Department of Homeland Security to stop the bleeding of Democrats among Hispanic, possibility Latina, and not Latinx voters. That seems to be the problem here. Democrats are really worried about the midterms because they're going to get slaughtered. Figuratively, not literally. Mayorkas replied that the Department of Homeland Security has, quote, a number of different offices engaged in this critical effort. Oh, do you now? Do you now? Are we going to start determining what the truth is in Spanish now, too? I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. As part of their mission set, including the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which recently published infographics explaining information manipulation and how bad actors use social media bots. Oh, there we go. We're going to have to regulate social media. I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. as well as an update of the Disinformation Stops With You infographic set. Let's wait a minute. Let's check out these infographics. This ought to be good. Here's one. Let's see. Oh, I want to see them. No, just don't. Okay, this is their whole fair. Disinformation Stops With You infographics. I want to see the infographics, not the article. Oh, here we go. Okay, we'll get to these in a minute. Well, no, let's get to them now. This is fascinating. Oh my God. So, what is this called in layman's terms? Propaganda. Propaganda. Okay, sorry, I'm getting carried away there. Bad actors spread disinformation and undermine democratic institutions and power of facts. False and misleading information can evoke a strong emotional reaction that leads to people to share it without first looking into the facts for themselves, polluting healthy conversations about issues and increasing societal divisions. Do your part to stop the spread of disinformation by practicing and sharing these tips. Fascinating, because they kind of tried to do that on social media. They did that at, what was that place called that I like to go to all the time? It has a little blue bird in the corner and all that stuff. Twitter, when they suppress stories like the New York Post story. By the way, I'm in a conversation right now with someone about that story, but they don't seem to want to talk about what they tweeted. They just want to talk about Trump. We'll get to that. Anyway, so they have all these little infographics that they are, oh my God. They are just trying to teach people how to, okay, anyway, this is crazy. So that's the infographic. Oh, and then stops with you. Is that the same thing? Is this the same thing? Stops with you infographics. Oh, they did it twice. So they already had that. That's what I was, okay. That's why I went to look for it. Whoa, what happened there? Oh, this one. Here we go. So, okay. He continues. Our Undersecretary Policy. Wait a minute. Our Undersecretary. Okay. Well, let me go to Maddie here first. Thank you, Maddie, for sponsoring the show with the 5-spot dropped in the tip jar and a wonderful prioritized chat. I'm going to start calling them prioritized chats. The super chats from YouTube is kind of a brand, but I don't want to call them. I'm going to say high priority chats. When you do a Streamlabs at donation at pdognight.live, see, a super chat's just some bullshit brand name that YouTube comes up with. But when I call it a highly prioritized chat, that means you're super special. And Maddie, of course, is super special. We love Maddie, of course. By the way, okay, here we go. So Maddie with the 5-spot, thank you for sponsoring the show. I appreciate you. Who says, how do they get Latinos and Hispanics to vote Democrat again? Maybe, just maybe, they need to, 1, quit pandering to the wrong crowd by using Latinx. 2, stop treating us like we're stupid and can't defend ourselves. And 3, stop being socialists. Yes! She says, thank you. All right. Thank you, Maddie, for the wonderful, highly prioritized chat and donation. Okay, let me keep going here. Now, our undersecretary, this is, I think it's Moyarka still saying this, or maybe, I don't know. Our undersecretary for policy, Rob Silvers, is co-chair with our principal deputy general counsel, Jennifer Daskal, in leading a just recently constituted misinformation/disinformation governance board. Why do these people have such pretentious fucking titles? But anyway, Disinformation Governance Board? Huh. Fascinating. Politico Playbook reported that DHS is standing up. Why do they keep saying standing up? Why don't they say starting up? I don't know. That's weird. Standing up a new, quote, Disinformation Governance Board. Oh, hello, Richo. How you doing, brother? My friend from Down Under's in the house. Disinformation Governance Board. You mean like a Ministry of Truth? That's what's, by the way, that was trending #1 yesterday and is still trending highly today. Nina Jankowicz, who studies the intersection, oh, good Lord. Scary when they start using the words intersection. Anyway, Nina Jankowicz, who studies the intersection of democracy and technology in Central and Eastern Europe as a Wilson Center Global Fellow. Oh, Global Fellow. That sounds so important. Has advised the Ukrainian government on strategic communications and is the author of, quote, How to Lose the Information War. Russia, Fake News, and the Future of Conflict. Oh, my. Oh, my. Is what's that jackass who used to play the Star Trek guy? George Takei says, "Oh my." Dumbass. Confirmed on Twitter that she would be executive director of the board. Oh, fantastic. Quote, honored by serving in the Biden administration, DHS Gov, and Department of Homeland Security, to help shape our counter-disinformation efforts, Jankowicz tweeted, adding that a, quote, huge focus of our work, and indeed one of the key reasons the board was established, is to maintain the department's commitment to protecting free speech, privacy, civil rights, and civil liberties. Oh my freaking God. By determining what we determine is misinformation and trying to suppress it. Yes. Protecting free speech, privacy, civil rights, and civil liberties. I wonder if she cheered or if she booed Taylor Lorenzo's story about that lady who runs Libs of TikTok. I wonder, free speech, privacy, civil rights, and civil liberties. I'm sure she's just, that's her top priority in life. More to come as we dig into the big job ahead. For now, thanks for the support. In February, the latest National Terrorism Advisory System Bulletin assessed, here we go. We're going to tell you what we don't want you to hear. In February, the latest National Terrorism Advisory System Bulletin assessed that the converging factors of disinformation, persistent calls for violence against critical and often soft targets, and recent calls by foreign terrorist organizations for attack on the United States have increased the volatility, unpredictability, and complexity of the threat landscape. Really? What calls for violence? Okay, I'm going to continue. Disinformation and misinformation propagated and disseminated by both domestic and foreign actors were listed as the first key factors influencing the heightened threat environment, with grievances stoked by unsubstantiated, widespread election fraud conspiracy theories and COVID-19 mis and disinformation noted as inspiring violent extremist attacks during 2021. Interesting. You know, it's funny because I'm trying to understand where exactly the violent extremist attacks were. You'd think those would be really big news, right? Now, I know they spent a lot of time talking about the hate and violence against AAPI, I think. Did I say that right? Asian American Pacific Islander. Yeah. Peoples around the country. But that story died down very quickly when they realized that the violence probably wasn't sparked by any kind of, extremist activities. Just they were in the hoods with the brothers, and sometimes that happens, but they blamed it on extremists. misinformation. But anyway, which is weird. It's just weird. The story's disappeared, but I don't know if it stopped. Anyway, now, the bulletin said that calls for violence have been notably targeting U.S. critical infrastructure, soft targets, and mass gatherings, faith-based institutions such as churches, synagogues, and mosques, institutions of higher education, racial and religious minorities, government facilities and personnel, including law enforcement and the military. Wait a minute, law enforcement? I thought y'all didn't like law enforcement. Anyway, I'm sorry, the military, the media, and perceived ideological opponents. Really? Who are the more likely to physically attack perceived ideological opponents with violence? Huh? Now, they won't tell. Of course, they're not going to tell you that, those little black hooded mask fuck face wearing loser college dropout motherfuckers out in the Pacific Northwest. They won't count those people as committing violence against ideological opponents, even though that's their whole purpose in life. They'll tell you about one incident here or one incident there that's, one off that they'll keep talking about for years and years. Or maybe they'll talk about the insurrection, completely ignoring the other political violence that's been ongoing since 2020. Although it's died down a lot now that Joe Biden's in office because it's not an election year. But it's election year again, and guess what? Well, they're suddenly the protests are starting to happen again. But anyway, I digress. Violence against these locations or groups could stem from anti-government extremism, raciously or religiously motivated extremism, and or disinformation or conspiracy theories. For example, quote, COVID-19 mitigation measures, particularly COVID-19 vaccine and mask mandates, have been used by domestic violent extremists to justify violence since 2020. Where are these domestic violent extremists? So a person who questions a mask mandate as dubious and who says maybe it's not most of the scientific shit, if that's what they believe, is a domestic violent extremist? To justify violence and continue inspiring. Okay, so to justify violence since 2020, continue to inspire these extremists to target government, healthcare, and academic institutions that they associate with those messages. Again, you need to give me some, not just concrete examples, but proof that this is some kind of, oh my God, that's her. What's her name? What's her name again? Her name is, by the way, do not go and, don't go at her. Nina Jankowicz. Okay. In fact, do I need to do my disclaimer today? Avocados Diablo, what's happening? We've already said hi to you, even though you weren't here, because I knew you'd be here. You're like Teen Wolf, just poof, suddenly there you are. I think of Teen Wolf, and there you are. You just pop up right next to me, and I'm glad you're here every time, even though it startles me. But you're here, and it's just you, and so I don't have to be afraid. Okay. Good morning, Isabella, the housekeeper, too. Anyway, so that is how it was sold in Homeland Security today. I guess it's a newsletter somewhat related to the Department of Homeland Security. I'm not 100% sure, but it is fascinating. So, now, okay. Oh, hang on. Oh my goodness. I got a shit ton of notifications. Thank you, Tyler F., Mitch the Ripper, Hate Camel, Rotten Corpse, and Aaron Meredith for retweeting the show this morning. I greatly appreciate it. Also, good morning, Described Light. Oh, isn't this the same story we read in Lords of the Night all those years ago? The one that led to the nickname. Yes, my nickname show. There's a nickname story here. Yes, it is. Absolutely. And there's an update to that story. P-Dog Knight, have you seen the roaming gangs of anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers targeting mask manufacturers and vaccine centers? They have been destroying sites all around the world. Oh, have they? Now, I missed that story. Thank you, Tyre. Thank you for updating me, because I knew there was something going on. Oh my goodness. It's such a sad thing too. I mean, I know that, did you hear about the bombing at, what's that place called? Pfizer? Someone had a bomb threat. And then there was this one, vaccination center in Toledo where someone drove their car right through the vaccination center saying, this is not right. And then he was yelling, this is MAGA country. And it's everywhere. It's so sad that this is happening everywhere. And it's been all over the news. I know CNN, this is CNN, reported it, but no one just seemed to care. So I'm glad they have this ministry of truth that they're forming. All right. So now we're going to take a quick look at how some different news outlets are looking at this, because it's fascinating the different ways, different types of media looks at it. Let's start with Newsweek, who put this article out, asking who is Nina. Hang on a second. Messed that up, didn't I? Who is Nina Jankowicz, head of Joe Biden's Disinformation Governance Board? And there's a lovely picture of Ms. Jankowicz. I think that might be her Twitter profile or some shit like that. Nina Jankowicz is President Joe Biden's pick to serve as the executive director of the Department of Homeland Security's new, quote, Disinformation Governance Board. Oh, and her appointment has already met with some controversy. Oh my goodness, what could be controversial about Nina Jankowicz? I cannot imagine. Hold on, side note. Because Richo, what you just said, I get banned so often I no longer care. Have you know anyone if any of you are on Twitter? Now I noticed this because there's a whole bunch of the blue check leftist people saying how many subscribers or how many followers they've been losing on Twitter and blah blah blah. And just the opposite is happening to people on the right. People on the right are like, hey, and I've gained so many subscribers. So here, let me just give you an anecdotal thing, and then I'm gonna get back to this Nina Jankowicz shit. Something that I noticed distinctly over the last few days since this whole Elon Musk thing has popped up, I have been noticing, one, I'm gaining followers again, but I'm small, very small in the Twitter scale, right? But I've also noticed that there's a whole lot of people whose tweets I haven't seen for a very long time. I just haven't seen them on Twitter for a long time. And I assume some of these people were banned or left Twitter, whatever. But that's not the case. I'm just suddenly seeing their tweets again. Like, I followed Michelle Malkin a long time ago. Now, I'm not necessarily a fan of Michelle Malkin, but I follow her because she's interesting, and not in a good or bad way. She's just interesting. Some ways bad, some ways good. But I hadn't seen any of her tweets for I can't remember the last time I've seen one of her tweets. And yesterday, I saw a tweet by Michelle Malkin. I'm like, oh, wow. I haven't seen that in a while. And then Imam of Peace, you know who that is? I don't know, you may or may not, but that's one of these people too. He's a Muslim guy who kind of likes American ideals, right? But I haven't seen his tweets forever. And then all of a sudden I see tweets from him yesterday. And I'm like, wow, I haven't seen this dude for a while. He must not have been tweeting for a while. So I went onto his timeline and he tweets all the time, but I just never see it. And I was like, well, how is that happening? Oh, these are these people who've been shadow banned. Remember Twitter says, well, we don't shadow ban people. Well, by the way, if you want to go check out Project Veritas' YouTube channel, you'll get an understanding why you may not have seen some people. Because people at Twitter, they leak some stuff from their meetings, they leak some stuff from their communications that says, oh yeah, we do suppress certain accounts. But guess what? Now that there's new ownership, it seems some people at Twitter are starting to attempt to cover their tracks by removing some of these little algorithmic methods they use to suppress certain voices. And it's fascinating because I'm telling you, I'm seeing tweets from people I haven't seen for months. All of a sudden, boom, pop, pop, here's one. Oh, I haven't seen that one for a while. I haven't seen that for a while. And there's even been some banned people who've returned just poof out of the blue. Like Juanita Broderick, remember I was talking about her? All of a sudden I'm seeing her tweets. She was banned. I thought she was permanently banned. All of a sudden, poof, there she is. So if you've been knocked off Twitter, and I would just check it out and see if you can open your account again. So it's curious. Curious. All right, let's back to this hoe. I shouldn't call her a hoe. Anyway, according to the Wilson Center, this is Nina Jankowicz. Oh, the controversy. Nina Jankowicz has been a global fellow with the nonpartisan Wilson Center and an author whose research has focused on disinformation as well as Russia and the treatment of women online. Now, when they say nonpartisan, the Wilson Center in theory is nonpartisan. Nina Jankowicz is far from nonpartisan. She's partisan through and through. Anyway, according to the Wilson Center, she studies the intersection of democracy, there's that word again, and technology at Central Eastern Europe. Blah, 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 blah. I read that. Jankowicz is also the author of How to Lose Information, blah, 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 blah. We already talked about that. She has made frequent contributions to media publishing articles in the New York Times, and the Washington Post, and the Atlantic, and elsewhere. Oh, wow. Just those bastions of fair and balanced reporting, right? The Washington Post, the New York Times, the Atlantic, yes, those are such neutral, perfectly factually relevant places where a person would post their stuff when they are a nonpartisan. It's so nonpartisan, I can't even tell you how nonpartisan it is. It's amazing how nonpartisan those three outlets are. She has also appeared on TV and radio to discuss disinformation, as well as Russian and Eastern European issues. Before her work advising the Ukraine government, Jankowicz managed democracy assistance programs for Russia and Belarus. Interesting. And at the National Democratic Institute of International Affairs. She holds a master's in Russian and Eurasian and Eastern European studies. There's that word studies. Interesting. I always say if your degree ends in studies, unless you're lucky enough to be Nina Jankowicz, if your degree ends in studies, you might want to start studying menus. But anyway, and international affairs. Well, international affairs, okay, never mind. That might be important at the Georgetown University School of Foreign Service. So if you're either going to politics or you're going to baristaing. Jankowicz tweeted on Wednesday that she was, quote, honored to be serving in the Biden administration, blah, 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 blah. She shared her official photo in a subsequent tweet and wrote, a huge focus of our work. Indeed, one of the key reasons the board was established is to maintain the department's commitment to protecting free speech, privacy, civil rights, and civil liberties. Yes, we know what your thoughts are free. Well, let's just talk about her thoughts on those things, because it's fascinating what other places who talk about this talk about. And first we'll go to Breitbart, who is absolutely on the farthest, well, not the farthest, they're not far right. They're in reality, they're kind of center right, a little ahead of beyond center right, but still, whatever. It's a right-leaning publication, right? Well, here's how they treat the story. Department of Homeland Security sets up Disinformation Governance Board to fight misinformation. And then they repeat the title of the article in the very first line. I mean, this is literally the same sentence, but they added online. Homeland Security, blah, 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 just established a governance board, blah, blah, blah. The team will focus on irregular migration, illegal immigration, and Russia, according to a report from Politico's Daniel Littman. Nina Jankowicz is a fellow at the Wilson Center, confirming reports that she would direct the board, sharing her official government portrait and social media profile, blah, blah, blah. So here's what she writes. The cat's out of the bag. here's what I've been up to the past 2 months and why I've been a bit quiet on here. Oh, you haven't been quiet, you lying bitch. Anyway, honored to be serving on the Biden administration, blah, blah, blah. And then here's the little graphic she put up. Here's a little graphic, and maybe I should, maybe I'll, oh, what the hell? Oh, I see what they did here. I'll leave her tweet also here. But anyway, here's my official portrait to grab your attention. Yeah, that grabs my attention. Oh, careful. I'm not disparaging your looks at all. I'm not. I don't care what she looks like. Why? Why do we need your portrait? Why? She claimed the new board was created to, quote, maintain department's commitment to protecting free speech, privacy, civil rights, and civil liberties. Conservatives immediately called out Jankowicz's role in downplaying information from Hunter Biden's laptop in 2020. Oh, did she do that? Here's what she wrote. Back on the laptop from hell, apparently Biden notes 50 former national security officials and 5 former CIA heads that believe the laptop is Russian influence op. Trump says Russia, Russia, Russia. Now, yes, she went with the propaganda that it was a Russian op. Oh, but the New York Times says otherwise. That's fascinating. Anyway, but it took him almost a year and a half or almost 2 years to come up with that. But anyway, she's also been an advocate for social media censorship on regulation. Here's one of her tweets. This is Nina Jankowicz's own word. I'm not making it up. This is what she said. By all means, let's regulate social media, but let's do it with proper thought and consultation, with the nation's best interest at heart, not with the sweep of a Sharpie in response to a specter of political censorship that doesn't exist. Really? Because there's a whole bunch of people at Twitter going back and making some corrections to the algorithm, and all of a sudden I'm seeing a whole bunch of people on the right show up in Twitter that I haven't seen in months, but they were there the whole time. Interesting. Now, in October, Jankowicz testified to the House Select Committee on Intelligence on the dangers of misinformation and conspiracy theories and how to stop it online. Disinformation is a threat to democracy. What does democracy mean? Class? When you hear the word democracy, someone from the left say the word democracy. What is the definition of democracy? Class? Write in the chat if you can remember, and you'll get a special star. She warned and criticized the government and social media platforms who have all but abdicated their responsibility to address domestic disinformation. Wait, what? She warned and criticized the government and social media platforms, aka private companies, who have all but abdicated their responsibility to address. During her testimony, Jankowicz recommended that Congress start spending more taxpayer dollars to fund a robust public media and work on a global effort to combat disinformation. So she wants private companies. She wants Congress to spend more taxpayer dollars, something to affect private companies. Private companies, taxpayer dollars. What is it when the government uses private companies to control certain aspects of society? There's a name for that. It starts with an F and ends with ashism. It's something like that. Anyway, she also hailed Twitter's efforts to censor users during the 2020 election and urged more technology companies to follow their example. Wow, a government bureaucrat asking private companies to censor people. Wait a minute. I thought everyone on the left said that private companies don't censor people because they're not the government. But But if the government compels a private company to censor people, that's very interesting. Anyway, so that's the right-wing Breitbart, crazy right-wing nut jobs. And I also left this up here. It'll be in the tabs, her tweet about what this is going to be. Her going to head the Ministry of Truth thing. Anyway, moving on. Also, now here's RT. Now this is the bastion of Russian disinformation. I just thought I'd show you what they put up here. Now, this is obviously RT's American division, and mostly people who are Americans write for RT America, but because they have a Russian, a Russian, home base, then they are, so it's clearly this is Russian disinformation. U.S. unveils plans to ramp up censorship. Oh, now, again, they're not saying that Russia doesn't ramp up censorship. They're just saying now the U.S. is trying to catch up. Move comes days after Elon Musk struck a deal to buy Twitter and pledged to restore freedom of speech on social media. U.S. President Joe Biden's administration is expanding the Department of Homeland Security purview to include fighting speech that the government deems to be disinformation. Plans for the new initiative were revealed on Wednesday when DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said in Congress at a hearing his department had created a Disinformation Governance Board. Okay, so again, they come down here. Now, the Young Americans for Liberty don't like what Ding Dong Nina, whatever her name is, said. This is the part I wanted to see about this. This is why I pulled this up. So when she said cat's out of the bag, she said that the past 2 months is why I've been a bit quiet in here, blah, blah, blah. Oh, Tarai, nice to see you. How are you doing? Tarai Deos. Hey, you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Dropping a 10 spot in the tip jar. Thank you, my dear. You're greatly appreciated. She says, Tarai's words are, and I'm going to read them for you. Oh, does it need music? It doesn't need music. Well, maybe it does. This is epic, and we'll go with the epic one here, and it's got to be a little loud, but that's okay. Here we go. Why isn't that working? Freedom of speech means allowing even the unpopular opinions floor space to speak as long as they are not promoting violence. Sometimes that's people we don't agree with. Okay, that didn't really work because it was super loud. But anyway, freedom of speech means allowing even the unpopular opinions floor space to speak as long as they are not promoting violence. Sometimes that's people we don't agree with. Yes, exactly, Tarai. And thank you very much for sponsoring the show. That's very astute of you. So, although Mayorkas unveiled the new entity in response to a question about disinformation being used to sway elections, the new board will reportedly focus on countering misinformation related to Homeland Security, focused specifically on irregular migration, illegal immigration, and Russia. Now, here's Jen Psaki was asked about this. And so she says, her question was, she was questioned about the deal, or the Twitter deal by reporters on Monday, and said Biden, quote, has long been concerned about the power of large social media platforms and will urge Congress to take steps to help combat online misinformation. Really urges Congress to take steps to help combat online misinformation. Wow. What does that First Amendment say? The United States, whatever, something shall make no something that will suppress or something, the free speech or the freedom of election, freedom this and freedom of speech and freedom of association and da. What the hell is she talking about? Take online steps to combat online misinformation. Look, do you know that in the United States of America, propagating misinformation is also a constitutional right? Now, not saying there can't be consequences or other information that would prove your information is disinformation or misinformation, but it's a constitutional right. There's no law except for perhaps fraud and swindling laws, or, again, violence, but whatever. But she says, has been long concerned about the power that social media platforms and will urge Congress to take steps to combat online misinformation. Wow. Ironically, Jankowicz promoted false information about the alleged Biden scandal weeks before the 2020 election, saying the New York Post suppressed story had been branded a Russian influence op by former intelligence officials. Yeah, they lied their freaking asses off. They lied. That is misinformation. Oh, that's not the kind of disinformation we're trying to combat, though. And warned that supporters of President Donald Trump would show up at the polls with weapons to intimidate voters. Wow. The emails on which the Biden story was based were later verified by other major media outlets, including the New York Times and the Washington Post. Oh, sorry about that. You just thought you had the right thing and going, and then all of a sudden. So here she is. New DHS officials launching its own Ministry of Truth, or so-called Disinformation Governance Board. Nina Jankowicz will head the board as executive director. Free speech absolutists make her shudder. So everything should go to be just fine. And this is, I have this. So this is I have this NPR interview. You can listen to that yourself. It'll be in the links. But here's what she wrote. Last week, I told NPR Michael, I shudder to think about if free speech absolutists were taking over more platforms. What would that look like for marginalized communities?
That's racist!
Stop calling me marginalized, bitch. Which are already shouldering disproportionate amounts of this abuse. Are you sure about that? You know, it's funny how they do these studies. And when she says marginalized communities, she includes women, like half the population. And she talks about how, women take all this abuse online and blah, blah, blah. Do they ever do a study on how much abuse men take online? Do men take the similar amount of abuse online? I'm going to guess yes. Okay? Ask any Trump supporter. And again, I'm not a Trumper guy. I obviously voted for the man the second time around. But I'm not a Trumper guy. But I watch how people who are really adamant Trump people get constant harassment, just like anybody else online. Those white males, those white males.
You're fucking a white male!
They get abused from other white males. They get abused from the feminists. They get abused from this man, that person, blah, blah, blah. And usually without impunity. If a person of my melanated status trashes a white male online using words that probably aren't normally allowed, I'm generally going to get a pass because of my melanated status. Okay? The idea that people don't get harassed online by everybody, and not that it's good. That's not a good thing. I'm not saying, don't misunderstand me thinking that's a good thing. But the idea that it's only women who get harassed online, and then they have the nerve to fucking call it violence. Words are not violence. Violence is a physical activity. Okay? Now, if you're so delicate and have, sensibilities that don't allow you to be able to stand up to some violence, you may need to refocus on what you're doing online, or learn to understand that, again, there's no such thing as online violence. Okay, it's just their words, and maybe get some counseling and move on and stay online and do your best to learn how to handle that. But anyway, in fact, last December, Jankowicz called Musk an quote unquote online abuser, and said she thinks the best antidote to such behavior is to deny them influence and notoriety. Well, so much for that. She also defended regulation of speech, saying, quote, the free speech versus censorship framing is a false dichotomy. Oh my God. All right, it's sponsor time. Thank you, Tyre Alexander. Appreciate you. We're going to stick with the acid jazz stuff today. Today's sponsor is Redacted. To anyone listening to this ad, we are the Redacted. All your media will be cleansed of wrongthink. What is wrongthink? Asking that question is wrongthink. Ask questions is wrongthink. Shut up and obey. We are Redacted. Thank you, Tyre Alexander. Thank you, sir, for the fantastic ad writing and the small billet in the tip jar. Thank you very much. Should I talk like this the rest of the show? I don't know. I might be redacted. Just saying. Anyway. All right. So I have multiple articles about, oh, shoot. I got to restore that tab. I don't want to do that. Reopen, close tab. There we go. I have multiple articles and tweets about this whole nonsense, but I'm not going to go through all of them. But here's Mayorkas himself talking about his Ministry of Truth. Now, he didn't call it that, but here he is. Here's what he said.
Just a few weeks ago, I engaged with secretaries of state from all over the country to focus our efforts on election security. We are building upon the great work of the former CISA director, Chris Krebs. Jen Easterly is leading, of course, the cybersecurity.
Again, remember what this is about. When they say domestic and they say they're going to focus specifically on whatever they called illegal immigration and Russia. Oh, wait. He's talking about election security here in the United States. Oh, is this part of Homeland Security? Are you tinkering with democracy, Secretary Mayorkas? How amazing that you're going to tinker with democracy.
Security and Infrastructure Security Agency in this effort. We have just established a Mis- and Disinformation Governance Board in the Department of Homeland Security to more effectively combat this threat, not only to election security, but to our homeland security. We are
and not democracy. I'm sorry, that means Democrats in power.
Disseminating information to the secretaries of state. We are counseling them and providing resources to ensure better physical security. We are addressing all aspects of election security, given, of course, the midterm elections that are upon us.
Yes, because we don't want Republicans to win, even though they're going to win.
Of our democratic processes.
Democratic processes
Is at stake.
Okay, so that's his. That was his take. All right, let's move on. Let's see what else. Also, this is Nina Jankowicz again. The NPR interview where she's talking about women facing disproportionate attacks online. Disproportionate how? I'm curious. You mean people say mean things to women like they do men every day? I don't know. I don't know what that means. And there's the actual NPR version. We'll skip that. Now, this is interesting. Majid Nawaz says Biden's new disinformation czar at Department of Homeland Security. Yes, they really did just create a Ministry of Truth. Spreading disinformation by blaming Hunter Biden's since confirmed laptop on Russia during an election. So this is Nina Jankowicz down here. Back on the laptop from hell. Apparently Biden. Okay, so just again talking about the 50 former national security officials that said that it was Russian disinformation. Hilarious. Now, let me just real quick, I'm going to highlight a little kerfluffle I got into with this, there's this lady here. Let me find, she replied to me. I wonder if she's blocked me yet. I bet I wouldn't be surprised. She's blocking people. Here it is. Copy link to tweet. Let's go right here. So, they were talking about Majid Nawaz made that statement, right? And somebody here who I do not want you to contact, at least don't mention me, because I'm telling you, do not contact people I talk about on this stream. But anyway, she wrote when Majid Nawaz wrote this, blaming Hunter Biden, blah, blah, blah. She down here goes, okay. She didn't say okay, but I'm adding it okay. Stopping disinformation is a good thing. Why fear this unless you contribute to the spread of disinformation and are afraid of the consequences? And I'm trying to explain to her. So she's saying, because think of all the things over the last few years that have been called disinformation and end up being true. That was the first thing that popped in my head when I said that. And so someone replied to her something about because the people spreading disinformation are running it. Yeah, a lot of these people doing this spread their own disinformation. Nina Jankowicz, right here in this tweet, is spreading disinformation from the 50 supposed former national security officials and five former CIA heads that think the laptop is Russian influence. She's spreading disinformation. It's not Russian, was not a Russian influence operation. It was actually happened. What the hell is that? Okay, yeah, thanks whoever, thanks, thank you, moderators, for dropping that bot. So this person, and she goes, the person who replies to hers, so basically they want to control information in regards to Hunter Biden, Durham investigation, election fraud, vaccines, Ukraine, etc. This should be brought to court if possible. So this person says all the above have been part of said. She says all of these things that have some validity to them, right? Or have, you want only the narrative on these 5 things: Hunter Biden, Durham investigation, election fraud, vaccines, Ukraine. She says all the above information has been part of sophisticated campaigns of disinformation. If you are unable to discern that, you are a believer of propaganda. I said, okay, fine. Let's start with Hunter Biden's story. What part of that is a campaign of disinformation? Are you saying the New York Times is also part of this campaign? Are you saying the former vice president has been completely forthright in his connection to his son's business? And her answer to that, after saying all the above have been part of sophisticated disinformation campaigns, her answer is, now do Trump. Oh, whataboutism. Fantastic, Miss Peck. Fantastic. Now do Trump. And I'm like, I'm working off your list. You said you say all of these have been part of sophisticated campaigns of disinformation. Really? Let's start with the Hunter Biden story. What part of that campaign is disinformation, right? She says, now do Trump. I'm like, well, I'm working off your list. We can certainly talk about Trump once we get through this, and it's okay if you don't know. Just say I don't know, and we can remove it from the list. Her answer, until an indictment comes out, innocent until proven guilty. Now, TFG, which is they call Trump, the former guy, they don't like, that's just one of those stupid things that came up in lefty circles, has been indicted multiple times for tax fraud, campaign finance fraud, and compelled by subpoena to testify and provide DNA evidence for a rape case, to name some. He has been convicted on fraud. When? Okay, whoa. He's been convicted on fraud. I never heard that case. But even if he has been indicted, how many times has he been acquitted, and how many of those cases are not done? She says here, innocent until the indictment comes out, innocent until proven guilty. Well, after an indictment comes out, you're also innocent until proven guilty. An indictment doesn't mean shit. Okay? Innocent until proven guilty starts until you get to the court. So, innocent until proven guilty. And I'm like, I'm trying to understand why you don't want to talk about your own claim. Again, I'd be happy to talk about Trump later, but it's, let's not use as many problems to deflect from your own assertion. It's like, but this is how people argue. You start talking about, the bullshit things that they are doing. But what about Trump? What about Trump? All right, let me move on, because I got another story I got to get to. So anyway, there's this is Cernovich, but the future head of Department of Homeland Security Ministry of Truth claims in a video that revolutions are an appropriate response to rigged elections. Oh, what? I can't talk about that, but she was talking about this, and she's talking about in other countries, of course. Believe it or not, some people get fed up. There's a quote from this video, which you can watch on your own. Believe it or not, sometimes people get fed up with having their voices silenced for decades, she explains. Can I just say, lack of self-awareness. All right, enough for her. Oh, and then Hillary. I don't know why I brought this up, but Hillary Clinton warns of that fascism could dominate the U.S. at Madeleine Albright funeral. I'm just pointing out the irony. The same government that is trying to get social media companies to censor and police people on their platforms, private companies being compelled by the federal government, a federal a partnership between the federal government and private companies to suppress the rights of people. What's that called again? Put it in capital letters, chat. All right, finally, let's move on. And then this is the story where she did that. Let's move to, I have a story. Oh, this is, why did I do this? I'll come back to that because this last story I want to make sure I get to. Now, any of you who are familiar with the show The Lords of the Night, my good friends, the Ranting Monkey, Scribe Light, Satsu 2 Cents, Some Dumb American, had a show called The Lords of the Night. They ran that show for, I believe, almost 5 years, and then they just recently disbanded the show. But it's a great show. They talked about new stuff and funny stuff. And there was a point at the time I was a fan of the not only a fan of the Lords of the Night, but I was a friend of the Lords of the Night. I often appeared on the show, and over a period of time, there was a story about a guy who was asking for an attorney when he was in the custody of police. And the suspect here, let me just show you here's what the suspect said. He said, he was talking to the police, and he told the police, give me a lawyer, dog. And the court says he wasn't asking for a lawyer. What? He said, I need a lawyer, dog. Because when he was talking to people, he had a tendency to call him dog. And he said, I need a lawyer, dog. And for whatever reason, a spark flashed into Scribe Light's head. And he saw a lawyer dog, and he thought of me. And so I got the nickname on the Lords of the Night as Lawyer Dog. And so when I appeared on the Lords of the Night, I was described as the Lord of Jurisprudence, and oftentimes people would yell lawyer dog when I showed up in the chat. And so that's one of my many, many nicknames in the world, lawyer dog. Now, I'm not an attorney. I don't claim to be one. I don't have a law license, but I'm smarter than, well, some of your average attorneys. In fact, I'm smarter than most of your average attorneys. I'm as smart as some of your brilliant attorneys. But that's neither here nor there. I am not an attorney. I do not give legal advice, and nor do I give accounting or tax advice. So anyway, this guy, unfortunately, when the suspect in an interrogation told the detectives, just give me a lawyer, dog, the Louisiana Supreme Court ruled that the suspect was, in fact, asking for a lawyer dog and not a lawyer. Right. So, well, that story has an update, and it's fascinating. And this story broke the brain. It's from a long time ago. So, a New York Court of Appeals held today 4-3 that the 19-year-old who was interrogated in police custody never invoked his right to a lawyer. Here's his conversation with the detective after being read his Miranda rights. You can judge this for yourself. Now, I think they have a link to this somewhere. I'll go ahead and link that, put the link there too. But here's what they put out here. Okay. The detective, here, let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. Or I'll move it so you can see it. Where the hell is this? There we go. Move it to the middle here. Here's the conversation. Detective, do you understand each of your rights? Dawson, yeah, definitely. I just wish I had memorized my lawyer's number. He's in my phone. Is it possible for me to, like, call him or something? Do you want a lawyer? Detective, do you want a lawyer here? Dawson, right now? Detective, yeah. If I could get a hold of him, because I don't know his number. It's in my phone. Detective, okay. Dawson, but you could still tell me what's going on though, right? Detective, no, I can't talk to you if you want your lawyer here, and you already said you did. So let's let's give him a call. Dawson, and if you don't answer, then can you come talk to me? Detective, no. Dawson, so what happens if you don't answer? Detective, I mean, we'll deal with that if it happens. Let's hope your answers, I mean, from the sound of it, it sounds like you understand your Miranda rights and want your attorney. Huh, that was part of the conversation. Then it continues. Dawson says something inaudible, and detective says, am I understanding that correctly? Dawson says, well, yeah, to be honest, I just really want to know what's going on. You said something about something, I don't know what the hell happened, what incident happened. I really just want to know what's going on. That's pretty much it. Detective, okay. Dawson, that's all. Okay, so just hang on for a minute, okay? We'll get your phone and go from there. Now, that's interesting because that's the conversation with the detective after reading his rights, right? But the court ruled that he never invoked his right to a lawyer. Never invoked his right to a lawyer. And it's just one of those crazy cases. Clearly, he was asking for a lawyer. So, Scoop, the Louisiana Supreme Court held that a suspect who demanded, get me a lawyer, dog, was justified in receiving 3 years solitary confinement after bamboozling an officer of the law into saying, what's up? What's up, dog? What up, dog? So anyway, that's the story behind my nickname, Lawyer Dog. It's an old story, but still, it's funny. Let's see, how long is this? I'm not going to read this whole thing because it's like 18 pages long, but still. Amazing. All right. Let's finish up with some thoughts. Not thoughts, but thoughts. Oh, by the way, did you hear that Dr. Fauci said the country is out of the pandemic phase? Did you hear that? Here's a story. I'll put this in the links too. Dr. Fauci says the country is out of the pandemic phase. Oh, fucking-tastic. Dr. Fauci told PBS's Judy Woodworth that the U.S. was now out of the pandemic phase of the coronavirus, but that the threat continues for many nations around the world. We are certainly right now in this country. We are certainly right now in this country out of the pandemic phase, Fauci said in an interview with PBS NewsHour. Namely, we don't have 900,000 new infections a day and tens of thousands of hospitalizations and thousands of deaths. We are at a low level right now. So if you're saying, are we out of the pandemic phase in this country? We are. We've been at a low level for months as the number of positive tests have dropped off the table, but Fauci, ever the public health Nimrod, only reluctantly acknowledges the facts when it becomes too obvious to deny. I am virtually certain that we are undercounting the number of infections in the U.S. because many people are experiencing only mild or no symptoms. Part of that dynamic is the people aren't getting tested, and Fauci said if they test positive without showing serious symptoms, they might not report it to local health agencies. Despite a recent rise in COVID-19 cases, including Vice President Kamala Harris, Fauci reiterated that hospitalization rates are only rising slowly, unlike during the surge driven by Delta variant. And CDC Director Rochelle Walensky said on Tuesday the U.S. coronavirus deaths have fallen to a 7-day average of about 300 per day. The important numbers, deaths and people in ICUs, are also bottoming out as they have been since the middle of March. Yesterday in Illinois, there were less than 2,500 positive tests and less than 1,500 who are in an ICU and tested positive. Pandemic means a widespread throughout the world infection that spreads rapidly among people, Fauci said. So if you look at the global situation, there's no doubt this pandemic is still ongoing. The infectious disease experts said that it's an unanswerable question to ask when the global pandemic will end. We're not going to eradicate the virus, Fauci said. Oh, we're not? What happened to zero COVID? Sorry, hi T-Ball. Said as he looks at the future of COVID-19's global reach, the best hope is to maintain the coronavirus at low levels of transmission and pursue intermittent vaccinations. So more vaccinations. Oh yeah, it's FTG Thursday, isn't it? Hey, there we go. How about FTG Fauci? What's that other hoe's name? Let's find her name here. We can give her an FTG too. Well, Hillary Clinton, of course. We can always FTG Hillary. And who's this? Where's this? What's her name? Nina. Where's her name? Nina Jankowicz and Mayorkas. Well, here, Mayorkas. We can FTG Mayorkas. FTG Mayorkas. And what's this Nina? What's this thing? What's her name? Nina. What the hell? Okay, that's not it. Here we go. Nina. I can't even, Jesus. Hang on. There it is. Nina Jankowicz. I'll just cut and paste because it's too hard to, and FTG, Nina Jankowicz. FTG, all of them. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I know I'm short on time. I wanted to finish on this note because interesting question popped up on my Twitter feed regarding this. Let me find it here. Regarding the speech on Twitter, okay, and so Elon Musk tweeted this. Hang on a second here. I gotta move it so you can see it. For Twitter to deserve public trust, it must be politically neutral, which effectively means upsetting the far right and the far left equally. To which someone named Yashir Ali. Now, Yashir Ali is a New York Magazine, Huffington Post contributor. Just to give you a sense of where his political leanings are. Okay, clearly Democrat / left, whatever. I don't necessarily far left, but he's a typical leftist journalist. Okay, his question to Elon Musk: do you consider issues like intentionally misgendering someone to be a political issue, a human rights issue, or the equivalent of calling someone a mean name? Now, it's a fascinating question because if you ask most people on the right, they'll probably answer that is a political issue in one aspect, and I'll get to that in a second. If you ask someone on the left, they're going to say it's a human rights issue. Okay, if you misgender someone, and it's such a violation of their selfness. Okay, it's such a violation of self that you are just violating their human rights. Okay, and then there's some people who just say it's just calling someone a mean name, right? My problem with this question is it's really not. That's way too simplified of a question. One, it's not a human rights issue. Okay, first, because I guess the point I would make as far as it being a human rights issue is, well, here's the person. This person says, if you're a man, no. Let's see here. What did I actually replied to this somewhere. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Because it's the question is misinformation. I think Nina Jankowicz should probably come and say, that question itself is misinformation. The answer to that, for at least as far as I'm concerned, is that where the hell? What the hell? So the concept of gender is multifaceted, okay? At least when it comes to misgendering. Excuse me, the concept of misgendering, not the concept of gender. It's not multifaceted. There are two views on gender. The one that the gender is a complementary basis on biology, and that's how it's always worked for thousands of years, and people make it like it's something that you feel and not something that is empirical, okay? I say the words that you use for gender are empirical because they're related to sex, and so that's how we've been using them. And so when some people use the language, they consider gender to be synonymous with sex. And this other faction is saying, no, we want to be able to pretend that if you have a feeling that's something other than whatever, then you could be a different gender than your sex. And that's the conflict, right? But the concept of misgendering itself is multifaceted. When he says, do you consider issues like intentionally misgendering someone to be a political issue, a human rights issue, or equivalent of calling someone a mean name? No, it's none of the above. The concept of misgendering is multifaceted. It's a mental health issue. It's a power issue. It's a control issue. It's an attention issue. It's a narcissism issue. It's a delusion issue. It's a validation issue. And it's an attempt to force your belief system on other people. And that is both ways, okay? The people who believe in this multifaceted gender as spectrum side is trying to force their belief system on people who don't believe that, and people who don't believe that are trying to force their belief system on people who believe that. Now, that's where the pull is, right? Even though if you are going to go by a scientific and history of etymology on the subject, I believe that the people on this side who say it is not a spectrum, it's just a way we describe sex, is right. That's my personal opinion. Now, these people believe otherwise. The problem is trying to make this a human rights issue is complete nonsense, okay? Because the people on the side that says gender is a spectrum, and if you feel like you're this thing, then you are this thing. So the people who say that a transgender person is a woman because they feel like a woman is a completely subjective. It's a complete your demand to have someone use your so-called gender, your pronouns, the pronouns that you own. Nobody owns their pronouns, by the way. The person who owns the pronouns is the person who's speaking it to another person so they understand what they're talking about. It has nothing to do with that person other than the fact that person might be the subject of the conversation. But to call it a human rights issue is complete nonsense. Why? Because having someone else validate your feelings, and the people who say that gender is a spectrum and you are whatever you feel like you are, that is your feeling. There's no objective measure for what you're feeling. Having someone else validate your feelings is absolutely not a human right. I am not here to validate other people's feelings. I am not required to validate someone else's feelings. But that's what they want you to be required to do. Now, I might choose to validate your feelings, or I might choose to accommodate you, but you have no right to demand that I do it. You have no right to demand what kind of language I use. You do have no right to demand for me to use a pronoun that doesn't match what the person I'm talking to and having a conversation with will understand. Because me having a conversation about you is about how we communicate with this other person. I'm not communicating with you. And so as long as the person I'm talking to understands what I'm talking about, that's what's important. And that's all. You have no right. There's no human right that says I have to have things come out of my mouth to validate you. Because what are the questions that came up with this? Again, it was one of these, what was the question here? It was a stupid question. If you are a man and people keep referring to you as she or her, how would you feel? I don't care, because I'm generally not in the conversation. If it's within my presence, I'll be like, okay, someone's just fucking with me. Okay? Because there's nothing that about me that says, probably has a vagina. Not that I give a shit what people think about me. If you're a woman and people keep referring to you as he or him, how would you feel? Well, I had a coworker. She's cool as fuck. Happened to be a lesbian woman, but she had really super short hair, and she had some, if you didn't look, some people would mistake her for being a man, just because the way she carries herself, the way she dresses, the way her hair was cut and whatnot. And we were leaving, as we're in a security controlled area, so we have to go through security to leave the building. And the security guard, didn't really necessarily look carefully and just saw the person and said, thank you, sir, as she was walking out. And I'm like, I looked at him and I go, oh, or she said, she looked at him and goes, oh yeah, I'm not a sir, but that's okay. I kind of look like a dude. And that's all it was. The problem, some of these people have this, expect you to have this, this delusion that sometimes you look ways you don't look or whatever. And so people are going to make mistakes, and, and it's like, that's okay. And you would think, and this is part that bothers me about the transgender movement, I'm going to call it, and the transgenderizing of emos and goths, because now it's new to me. It's the new, especially with younger people. The idea that 20% of young people consider themselves LGBTQ, because that's the flavor of the day. It truly is. It's like you get praise for being LGBTQ, especially from teachers and administrators and things like that. So it's no wonder that all of a sudden everyone wants to be LGBTQ, right? Because that's who gets the praise. That gets who gets the most attention. That's who gets the most kudos. Oh, congratulations. You are so brave and bold. Okay? Oh, wow. I want to be brave and bold too. Well, maybe I should say that I am. I know that I kind of sometimes like to play, occasionally I like to play with G.I. Joes, and those are dolls. So I must be a girl. And if I say that I'm a girl, then I'm going to be proud and brave too. Okay. But anyway, you would think that people are transgender. For example, let's take, who's that guy? That woman, excuse me, I'm sorry. Who's the woman who's in the, oh my God, I'm going to get in trouble. Who's the woman who's the, second undersecretary of health, the former Pennsylvania health minister, whatever, that transgender woman, who looks like Brian Stelter in drag? That person who understands, that knows for a fact that he was, or she once presented as her sex, male, which she is a male. Okay. Regardless of what her gender is now, she's still physiologically male. And even, I don't even care if she has had surgery. she's still physiologically male. There's no changing your sex. If you go off hormones, you have artificially female characteristics because of the hormones you take, but you're still male. If you go off those hormones, you will revert back to your normal, physiology, right? Just because it's artificial, fake boobs are still fake. They may look good, but they're still fake and they're hard and all that stuff. I shouldn't really explain why I know that. But anyway, Levine. Yeah, Rachel Levine. Rachel Levine should absolutely know that she doesn't necessarily look like the average woman. And so there are going to be cases where people are like, what is going on here? What's going on here? What is this? And also the fact that because Rachel Levine didn't transition until her 50s or 60s, whatever, how old it was not long. This is a person who played football in high school and had a family, and then once the family was grown and decided that, oh, I'm going to be my real self. Really? Your real self? What does that mean? But that person should know that it's a fact of life that not everyone agrees with that philosophy. So why not understand that? Why not, you think everyone is required to validate your delusion? And that's because that's my opinion. Now, someone else here says, oh, yeah, that person is a woman. Well, fine, you can have that opinion. But I have no obligation in the world, and it's not your human right for me to validate what I believe is your delusion. And that's that. And that's how I'm ending the show today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Before you do anything, if you haven't hit the like button, do that right now. Okay. And also remember, you can share these streams before, during, and after the show. Anytime. You can share any stream that you can find on my YouTube page. Anytime you want to. Oh, also, I noticed there's a new clipping function on YouTube, and I'm not really sure what that's about. Haven't used it. But if you ever want to clip videos, and clip segments or whatever, or think within reason, don't try to make me look like an asshole. But if you want to clip something and send it to me, I will repost them on my channel. I haven't had the time to go. I want to make just short clips of the stream and put them out like some of these other guys do, Pool and Young Ripper and all that. But I just don't have time to do it all the time. So if any of you have sections of the show that you think would make good clips, feel free to clip them and send them to me, and I'll post them. And I'll even give you credit for providing the clip. That would be great, because I'm trying to figure out more ways to put shorter things on my channel without just making videos. I don't have the time to make videos as much as I used to. But anyway, also the programming note tomorrow will be live from Des Moines, Iowa, Drake University, Drake Relays, except for I won't put that in the name of the stream because, well, you know what happened last year, and we will be interviewing college students outside a bar that has free beer all morning. So some of them will be drunk, some will be saying funny things. If you have questions you'd like me to ask college students, for example, one of my questions would be, what do you think of Elon Musk taking over Twitter? Do you have an opinion on that? That would be the kind of stuff, any kind of stuff that we do talk about here on the show that you think I can ask college students their opinion. Drop me a line in the comment section, or you can DM me on Twitter, and we'll use your questions on the show, and I'll even take them out of the chat if you have any. So everyone, thank you so much for being here. This has been fun. This show is fun. I love doing it. Appreciate all of you who participate in the chat. Thanks for our sponsors today. Let me make sure I get the right ones. Chicago Mike, Maddie, Tarai Deos, and Tyre Alexander. And Tarai Deos, you are the Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Everyone have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Otherwise, 10 o'clock Eastern, Monday through Friday. Talk to you soon. My name's P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is P-Dog Knight, and thank you for watching today on the P-Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.